pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Larry?
Here.
Ray?
Here.
Gary?
Here.
Rick?
Here.
Cindy? Here. Daniel?
Here.
Graham?
Here. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I do want to request something beyond the agenda, just so we can have some conversation. In regards to the train depot, the contract that I provided to each of you, and the estimate, those have been provided to the town from Bill Mankin. And we're in the process, well, I just would like to at least talk about that at some point, so I can give you some more information here shortly.
Okay, I'd like to add the Bale's Lien and the new police car. Is there anything else? Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Just so you know, let's do what we did last week's meeting.
Okay.
We'll go one at a time on that vote. Greg J.
Aye.
Gary Bennington.
Sure.
No.
What was?
We're gonna do a vote so that we do it one at a time, so the folks can hear you. What was your vote on that?
Yes.
Rick Deerwester.
Aye.
Cindy Holland.
Aye.
Larry Fiddler.
Aye. Mrs. Galloway.
Okay. Am I on?
You're on.
So a lot of people have been asking me what's been going on in the town hall with the town and with the manager, with the building inspector. I get phone calls all the time, so I asked Daniel if I could be put on the agenda. So I want to start at the beginning, Exhibit A. On April 9th, 2019, the clerk treasurer put in the minutes, Gary and Gray will be assisting in the 2020 budget. Clerk passes out the 7-year budget and the improvements in the fund over the 7 years. So in that exhibit is this exhibit here. It's the general fund. It basically says in 2012 we had $343,000. 2013 we had $428,000. 2014 $445,000. It just gave the council how we've been improving or what our progress has been with the town. Exhibit B is May 14th, the very next meeting. The clerk asked Mr. J and Mr. Bennington about any updates on the direction they wanted to go with giving the police raises and the 2020 budget that was discussed last meeting. Currently, the building inspector makes $13,256, and if you have $15,560 in excess to cover the comp time and miscellaneous salary expenses in the police budget, then you would have the $15,000 to the building inspector's salary, which would leave $28,256. We can't find anyone qualified for that position. If you do away with that position, the town's insurance will go up 20% on every homeowner because there's no oversight if the jobs are being done by code, or the excess value will not be reported to the assessor's office. Wayne has been doing this as an intern and desires to have a replacement as soon as possible. You gotta remember, at that time, Wayne was doing the downtown, which was causing him fits. We were doing the liquor store, the restaurant was going in. He was busy and he just needed a break. So then
Sure.
Gary Bennington and Greg J was supposed to go to the county and ask the county if they were interested in covering the town of Cloverdale.
Cheryl, question. What was that, 13,000?
$13,256, and you got that from, and I'll tell you here in a minute where that number came from.
Okay.
So in 2000, and then in June, ordinance 2019-3, amending ordinance 2018-5 salary ordinance, a motion was given Logan the promotion with a pay raise from the 31,500 to the 36,000. He went to vote for a final vote. Greg made it, second by Gary. Vote was unanimous. Motion to go to the final vote was Gary and second by Greg. Vote was unanimous, no discussion. And then the clerk went over the line item 2020 budget, Form 1, which was presented and explained and no questions. So this was the Form 1. And on that Form 1 for the 2020 budget, Gary and Greg, we had a meeting. We increased the building inspector to $40,000. We increased the marshal's salary to $236,000. And where we got,
The police,
I'm sorry, what did I say?
not just the marshal.
Okay, the police department, to $236,745. We did that with the savings from the LED lights that we had. There was money that was from, the bill wasn't as high, so we had some money to actually give it raises. So Exhibit D then is the 2018 salary, which shows the building inspector making the $13,256. The ordinance before this, and I will have it here in a minute, what Mark was getting, we gave it all to the police except for the $13,256, and then that remained the building inspector's salary up until last year. And then, of course, again, ordinance 2019-3 again shows the building inspector's salary at $40,000. The position was vacant, and then the building or the town manager was making $47,476 with the interim building inspector at $20,000. August 13th, we had an open public hearing for the 2020 budget at 7:11 p.m. Clerk reviewed the Form 1, which I showed you, that showed what everybody's salaries were, Form 3, and the Form B with the council and the public. She explained on the general line 1, estimate budget coming in was $724,322. But if you look at line 12, you will see that you will be getting $317,196 plus the $262.85 or $262,085 that was left over from the 2019 budget. So we will not be able to spend more than $590,000. The marshal and I are figuring out ways to cut the budget for 2020. It will be tight and is asked if there was any questions or comments. There was no comments. The budget hearing was closed to the public. So that is you guys, your citizens. That is when we had broke down the numbers and showing you how your tax money is going to be utilized. Then September 10th, we had the meeting to pass the ordinance. The adoption was, the ordinance number is 2019, adopted 2020 budget. Larry, Cindy, and Gary voted yay. Greg voted abstain because of being a fireman. Don Sublett was absent, and there was no changes to the budget that was needed. So that was your $40,000 salary for your building inspector was set at that point. Ordinance 2019, amending salary ordinance 2019-3. Since Trina and Logan resigned, the ordinance 2019 that was amended last month needs to show the vacancy for sergeant again and a separate line item for the clerk and the utility clerk. This is the second reading and the vote was 3-1 with Gary voting no and the motion carried. December 17th, 2019-15, amending the salary ordinance for the 2020 budget. Since we needed to make the change for Sergeant Hall and add a part-time to the police salary ordinance, we also compensated the other associates by giving them raises. Motion to move to go to final vote. Greg made the motion, second by Cindy, vote was unanimous. Motion to the final vote was Greg made the motion, second by Cindy, vote was unanimous. And then every every meeting after that, for the next 5 pay meetings, the council signed these claim sheets. That basically says they know exactly what each of us made, and it's going per the salary ordinance. So when I get audited, they look at these claim sheets and they look at my salary ordinance and make sure they match. That's how I pass an audit. And we just got done doing the audit in September, which Larry and I met with them after the audit. And Larry, do you recall any negative remarks on that audit?
She just said that everything looked good. That's all she said.
So then comes February, and this is where, oh my gosh, the miscommunication is unbelievable. So February, we were in Florida, and we got a phone call from Trina stating that one of the police officers might be leaving because they weren't getting paid enough. So on the salary ordinance said a part-time position for $18,000. They wanted to move, or the marshal wanted to move that $18,000 and give it to the officer, some of it, not all of it, some of it to that officer to keep him employed here. And I think what happened, or I didn't realize what happened until April 8th, but I think that's what was happening, is the council thinks that I gave that $18,000 to the building inspector, who's my husband, and I can't believe that anybody would think I would do something so immoral and unethical as something like that. I get audited by the State Board of Accounts. They have safety checks in place, so something like that could never happen. And I was floored. We had the first conversation between Daniel, Larry, myself, and Graham by phone, and when I realized that what they were talking about, we got off the phone, and Graham called me and asked me how I was, and I was devastated. I was cussing like I'm embarrassed about it. It was just, I can't believe this council, this team, this dream team people, and they are good people. I love them. We had a great team. We were doing community crossing grants. We were moving in the right direction. We just had some miscommunication. Their feelings got hurt. I get it, but I'm just hated that they wouldn't come and talk to us. So there's another a misunderstanding that I want to get cleared up. Everybody's wondering about the drop dead March 27th day that Wayne was not employed. And on the executive session, March 24th, the council had a meeting with Wayne and told him at that point in time that he had till April 14th to either be terminated or resign. And I don't know what happened after that. That's an executive session, but Wayne came home and said he wasn't resigning. So March 26th at 11:57, this letter came to Wayne in an email from Hoffman Legal. It says, "Dear Wayne Galloway, this letter is to memorize the town's decision terminating your employment. The council asks that you leave all keys, electronics, IT, information, and passwords, town property, and town documentation. The council has requested that you vacate your office by 10 a.m. on March 27th, 2020. An executive session, the town gave you 2 weeks to finalize your job and responsibility. Please disregard the directive and vacate the town premises by 10 a.m. on March 27th, 2020. So this is his last paycheck. He took the next week as his vacation and his personal time or sick time, whatever he was, God, I don't remember, I have to look, but this is what we go as his termination date. In the employee handbook, the employee's termination date shall be the last day worked, which is March 27th. Now they're directing me to give him a check from March 27th to April 14th. I took an oath to obey all the laws of the state and the town council, or the town. When I get audited, they're going to at first ask me where his timesheet is. Well, I don't have a timesheet, he didn't work. Then what authorized you to give him that check? Well, the town council authorized me to give him that check. I need directive from the State Board of Accounts. I'm not sure I can do that. when I get audited, I don't want them coming back on me saying, you're going against your handbook and you're going, I'm just confused at this process. So, and I do want to tell you too, Daniel, this man is amazing. He's an amazing attorney. He's got his hands full. He's doing 2 jobs and trying to take over manager's position with the town. I'm sending him everything. He's getting innovated. He's just a good man. This town council, they're good people. We just got mixed up and the communication just got garbled. But they're serving you well, and I know that they'll get back and they'll get on their feet and they will continue to serve you. Thank you.
Okay, payroll issues? What's the status?
Well, I think that's kind of what, I'll just speak on that briefly. That's what we're trying to figure out. It sounds like Cheryl is confused about that. I don't know if she's spoken with her attorney about this, but, you know, at our April 23rd town council meeting, the council had a motion to, an approval to have Wayne's final paycheck issued for the period from March 27th through his final termination date on April 14th, 2020. At this point, the check has not been issued. I believe, based on Cheryl's comments just a moment ago, I don't know if she's not going to or if she's waiting. But I think it's appropriate to ultimately have another motion and order Mrs. Galloway to issue the payroll check.
Daniel, I can speak to that a little bit as well. As Cheryl alluded to, there's some uncertainty as to the date of termination. Now, there's a document that says it's the March 27th. We've reached out to State Board of Accounts for some guidance because we don't have a time card for any hours that he worked after the 27th. It's, I think, undisputed that he didn't work after that date. He's collecting unemployment checks. And so there is a claims process and a statutory procedure for submitting claims, and it appears that the council is the entity that's requesting the payment at this point. So Ms. Galloway is not refusing to cooperate. The process needs to be followed, or we need some direction from the State Board of Accounts that a motion made in a meeting is sufficient for us to issue that check.
His termination date was April 14th. That was his termination date.
My question would be, where is his final timesheet?
I have it in the office if you'd like to see it.
It was submitted.
You just said you didn't have one for him, for this final.
I told you, oh, go ahead.
For the time after the 27th,
Okay,
because he didn't work.
but he took vacation, you said.
From March 27th, that next week, then he turned in his vacation time that he's alluded
So
to.
he was
So he
still
should have
an
turned in a
employee.
timesheet, shouldn't he?
He-
Because he
I
was
got
on
it.
vacation.
Larry, I have the timesheet. Would you like to see it?
Yes, I would.
So his final date in your own statement was not
The
the
27th of
27th.
March.
He took his personal time, he took his vacation time, and other time up until,
Guys,
According to the handbook, you're supposed to put in your.
I don't think we should probably go into this. I think we just need to move forward with the motion.
oh, I would motion that the clerk treasurer calculate Mr. Galloway's pay from March 27th, 2020 through April 14th, 2020, while taking into consideration any required payroll deductions, and issue a final payroll check for Mr. Wayne Galloway for the period of March 27th, 2020 to April 14th, 2020, and that the clerk treasurer be required to provide that check to either Daniel or Larry
And do you
by
want it,
4 o'clock, May 1st,
and would you like
2020.
that as a building inspector and town manager? or
As
just-
you always paid him.
Okay, so he will get paid for both positions.
Cheryl, I think the confusion is you're claiming that you're not sure, at least in your communication, or the communication that your attorney has sent to me, you wanted, or at least what your attorney indicated was that you wanted the council to give you a number to pay.
No,
Council has no knowledge as to what
That's not
his
what we asked
deductions
for.
were.
we understand that you do not have that knowledge. All I'm asking for is I need some kind of documentation going with that paycheck that I can show when I get audited that I just didn't do it on my own.
You've been directed
You've been directed by
twice,
the council.
now 3
twice
times to
Okay.
provide that paycheck.
in an open meeting, so I would think that that would be sufficient proof for any concern that you may have.
And that's the inquiry we can make to the State Board of Accounts.
But I don't understand why that would warrant an inquiry. You understand that the council's directing you. Obviously, your job is to follow through with that directive. If you choose not to, then you're in violation of your duties as outlined in statute.
But you understand the State Board of Accounts is gonna come up to me and say you went against your handbook by doing this.
Your
and I can say-
interpretation of the handbook, your interpretation of the handbook is that the letter that was issued on March 27th was in fact meaning he was finally terminated on March 27th. The council just indicated that he was terminated on April 14th.
But it says,
Your
please disregard this
interpretation, I'm
directive.
sorry, Cheryl, your subjective interpretation of the employee handbook is not what formulates the basis of your opinion. That is what it does in this instance. But your subjective interpretation is not correct. Mr. Galloway was terminated officially on April 14th.
I don't know
So
what you
just
mean.
because you believe that he was terminated on March 27th does not mean that you are correct. So, when the town council 2 times has ordered you to issue a paycheck for Mr. Galloway's pay, I would believe that that would, in fact, provide you with whatever basis you need to feel protected or whatever from the State Board of Accounts. So you can choose,
I think that does it.
to not do that.
Okay.
But and I'm doing this, trying to speak to your council as well. If you choose not to issue that paycheck, then you will be in violation of your duties, and the council will take appropriate action.
Okay, I think that's good enough that I can send that to Todd Caldwell and we can get that taken care of. So yes, I will have that check for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're
I'll
welcome.
second the motion.
Could I have a question? We just said to pay for Wayne both, positions. How many hours does that consist for both positions?
Well, his pay would be from March 27th through the end of the day on
What we
April
normally pay.
14th. So what his pay was previously should be what is going to be issued in that final paycheck. So I understand that there's a dispute over the termination letter on March 27th, and that's fine. And that dispute will get resolved eventually. But at this point in time, the council has acted, the council has made the motion twice, and has approval for that, issuing of that check. So
I'm just covering myself. You understand
I
that?
do
I have to
understand that.
protect myself. I got a letter here that states that he was terminated, disregard what was said in the executive session. I have to cover myself too. I can't come
But
back and
again,
say,
Ms. Galloway, you were not present at the executive session.
no, but this
You're
letter
also
is
taking
clear.
a subjective interpretation of what the employee handbook says.
Okay,
And your husband's involved in this litigation that concerns that very issue. So I understand your concern, and I appreciate that you are concerned about that. But the council has followed all of its statutory procedures for requiring payment.
it will
Your
be
job
done.
from that point forward is to follow through with that payment.
It will be done.
Thank you.
Keystone,
We didn't make a vote on it.
We vote.
Vote.
we need a vote, okay?
Yes, we do need a vote.
Yeah.
You
He
motion.
motion, I second, and
Second.
you wanna go one by one?
Yes, I guess let's begin. Craig J,
Aye.
Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester,
Aye.
Cindy Holland,
Aye.
Larry Fiddler.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the Keystone, I'm not sure. I think that was Miss Galloway was.
The Keystone, since ADP is a monster to negotiate, and we are getting audited once a month, I was wondering if we could, go away from ADP and start using the Keystone payroll system. That way, the girls that does the audit, they are on the Keystone, they already know it. It'd be easy for them to do it.
Is this the voice quote?
Yes, it's the voice invoice that's in your packet.
Have we had problems with ADP in the past?
No,
What are we paying now?
pardon me,
What are we paying ADT?
ADP. I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and check. But when the, girls, when they get audited, when they're auditing me, they're not familiar with ADP. So they have to see all the paperwork, that's the money's being transferred in, transferred out, to be able to reconcile it. If they're on Keystone, they're already on there, so it's one process instead of having another.
So we don't know what we're paying for ADP, but we're looking at a $3,950 licensing fee to go with this new company.
Yes,
Are we going to get credit back, or do we pay a fee for ADP? And I would be curious to see what the difference is between the two prices
okay, well,
before we make a change.
And
because-
has this already been presented to Boyce?
no.
But it's signed by you and dated the 24th.
Well, the thing of it is they're wanting to come in on, May 3rd and get this all switched over. That's why you have it before you today.
Keystone is also who the water side uses for our
And the
like
thing of it
billing
is,
and
I don't even have to ask you guys statutorily, payroll is my responsibility, and I can choose who the, payroll, system we use. It's just a courtesy, I just want you guys to know that this is something that,
Is this gonna require a new appropriation of funds, or is this?
no. No, it's just a new database or software is what it is, so you're not doing ADP, you're doing Keystone.
I would think since this is within Cheryl's line of duty and responsibility, it's her decision.
I was wondering if we could know what we pay ADP, just
I will find out.
curiosity.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have no idea at this
Okay.
point in time.
And if you see a cost savings or, you know, a functionality improvement in switching to it, then it's your
Yeah.
choice.
Okay.
Right.
I appreciate it, thank you.
How long have we had ADP?
Since 2012, it was actually, I think, February or March, when I came on, they were in the process, they were doing payroll out of a bank in Greencastle. And then, I think Kathy Tipton had set that up, and when I came on, that's when we started doing ADP.
Had that for 8 years with no problems.
Mhm.
I can't see it changing then for this amount of money.
Well, and Trina, she said it's hard, it's a mess,
These people, the audit should know it by now.
well, this is a new group of people that audit me.
At Keystone, make it easier or user friendly for.
Well, it's interfaced with the rest of our
Yes.
system.
Oh, okay, okay, alright.
Okay,
Trina's status.
well, Trina doesn't wanna have anything to do with payroll anymore. But she still wouldn't mind coming in and doing claims and invoices and things like that, so. I think she's talked to Greg.
She has, and I think, that being said, we really can't reduce Trina's salary, but obviously her hours will be reduced if she's not taking on the payroll side of it. But she still has other duties to fulfill.
So I don't get the question.
Well, I don't either. Trina's status, what did you wanna know about
Well,
that?
I wasn't sure, you had sent some communication with, in an email that Trina was not wanting to do the payroll. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to, I figured that was part of, what you were gonna be talking about with the changes that you were gonna be making to ADP and.
No,
Is that all separate?
yes.
Okay,
Trina will not have anything to do with payroll. This is totally my responsibility, and I will make sure it happens. But
Okay.
we're not gonna have Trina do it or anybody else, it's on me.
Okay, the reason I thought that the two were related, so I just thought that that's why,
Okay, but
potentially that would be on the agenda.
So we're not gonna do anything to her salary, she's just going to, when she's, her.
Yeah, I don't think we can drop her salary just because she's dropping a line of duty. Her hours may obviously be reduced because you're not using her for payroll, but, I mean, you can still use her in the sense of the other duties that she was doing before.
Okay.
Okay, police officer salary changes.
Okay, this, I was, just give you all a little bit of information. I was contacted by the town marshal in regards to a couple of the officers getting pay raises. The pay raises were not authorized, and I don't know if Ms. Galloway was confused about that, but there was conversation about potentially raising the pay of some of the officers back in early March, I believe.
It was March 10th and March 24th, it was both discussed in the minutes.
Yes. But going back, and if you listen to the audio, you can listen. It was clear that the motion was only for Levi's pay raise. And that's what was ultimately approved. Again, there was lots of deliberation and conversation about that, so I don't know if Ms. Galloway, if you can explain why those officers received the pay raise?
Well, in your March 10th, Grade made the motion to give $40,520 raise to Levi, and the $1,000 raise to Adam, and the $500 to James. Second by Rick, vote was unanimous. It
Okay.
was written up in the 2020 budget that was written up. And then in March 24th, the amended salary 2020-02 adjusted the employee salary. The attorney discussed the documents, and the marshal wanted to remove the annual uniform allowance. Nothing was said, and actually Daniel had said that Levi was getting the $40,520. Daniel said Adam was getting the 1,000, and James was getting 500. And you can see that on the YouTube on the special meeting in March 24th, how that was directed. But they did want to drop the uniform allowance at that time. The marshal wanted to look at that down the road a couple of months and see how we stood.
Okay, Ms. Galloway, you prepared those minutes? You prepared those minutes? Did
Yes.
you prepare those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the March 10th meeting, the council did not approve a pay raise for anyone but Levi.
I think the marshal and I had extensive discussion in reference to only having Levi's salary increased, nothing else at that time.
Okay, and then all I ask the audience, the citizens to do is go on the YouTube and look at the March 10th and March 24th meeting, and it would be your interpretation. I get the minutes off of those YouTube. I'm very careful about getting it right and getting it said properly, and
Okay.
I don't know how I could have misinterpreted, but if I did, I apologize, and then we can make those amendments. As a matter of fact, you guys approved those minutes. Larry signed the minutes, the approval of those minutes on both of them.
Well, ultimately,
So,
you're not supposed to act without a signed salary ordinance, correct?
yes, and then that's another issue. You didn't give me the signed salary ordinance until Saturday of this time, and then you were demanding that I give Levi back pay. So how was I supposed to give him back pay if I didn't have the signed salary ordinance?
The question was, Cheryl, why did you give them pay raises without a signed salary ordinance?
Because it was in the minutes and it was approved by the town council. There was a motion and there was a second.
Okay, those are minutes again drafted by you, so you must have misinterpreted what was actually occurring in the meeting.
But you approved the minutes.
Okay. Cheryl, did we approve a $20,000 raise for Wayne?
Yes, you did.
Not in a meeting.
Hey, Larry.
Yes, Larry, all back in 2019, you guys said that in motion. It was in your
Ultimately, do you
budget.
know how to fix this issue with the officer's pay?
Yes, I will fix the issue.
Hey Greg, don't forget that they overpaid Levi. It's too much.
That's what we're discussing. Can you hear the meeting, Steve?
I can't.
Okay,
Overpaid Levi, I need to take the raise back from Adam.
so,
I need to take the raise back from James.
and there is no uniform allowance.
Correct.
And the officers, I believe, have those funds set aside to return them to the town. Because they're not going to keep them.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The funds that had already been paid to those officers are going to be returned to the town.
Okay,
So you'll want to speak with whomever as to how that process will work.
But we're gonna have to
who's
figure out,
whoever?
No, I said whomever you work with to show that those funds are gonna have to come back.
Okay.
but we have to
Because they've
figure
already
in
been paid.
taxes
For the
and
audit.
all the, the formulas need to match so that they know what to refund to the town to
Okay.
include, salary and
I
benefits.
just wanna make sure it's all correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And that will be done next pay period.
And it's also Levi's has to be adjusted because he's being overpaid by 50 cents an hour. So it's gonna be an extra $1,000, $1,001 a year, which is gonna come out to like $41,000, almost $42,000, which is not what the pay raise is supposed to be.
Okay. So we just wanna get those fixed if you can,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Now, as soon as you can, with that, we're getting ready to switch over from Keystone to pay, from ADP on May 3rd. I'm gonna do it as fast as I can on that process. I will have Wayne's check, but this other check, to get this switched over and go to another software, it might take
When
the
you
next
switch over to the
payroll.
new software, put in the correct numbers.
Thank you.
And then we'll resolve this to close out this account or this, this situation. But when you start with the new payroll, start with the new accurate numbers.
Okay.
Before we switch over though, we wanna know what we're paying ADT.
Well, that's pretty much Cheryl's call at this point.
It doesn't sound like it would be a change in cost, correct?
I can't tell you, Daniel, I don't know what ADP costs. I'd have to go in there and see and figure it out. I
Well,
don't know, but
In
it
the
is gonna
event-
save us money in the long run because we're using the same
If it will
software.
streamline the accounting process within.
But my question is, where are the funds, if it does cost more, where are you gonna get those funds to pay for that?
It comes out of the four entities: water, wastewater, general, and MPH. It comes out of those four entities. It gets
Right.
divided by four because all the employees work for those different branches of our government, or our funds.
Right, but if the cost of that service goes up from transferring from ADP to Keystone, that's gonna require an additional appropriation from the council for those funds. Right?
No,
For the
So how are you going to pay for that then?
Why don't
Do you
we
understand?
confirm it first, what the
Okay.
cost is?
All right.
Across that bridge. I mean, you think
I'll
it's a lot
confirm it
bigger.
and cross it, but it doesn't matter because ADP is paid the same way. We divide it between the water, the general,
But we've approved the
MPH.
ADP payment. We haven't approved
The Keystone.
That's
Keystone
true.
yet.
I think that it'd probably be
So do
beneficial
I need to
just-
call Boyce and hold off and tell him not to do this then?
I would suggest that you maybe you can present some information about it to the council at the next meeting in May and potentially see if there's gonna be a change in the cost, so that,
We got an issue.
I would say if it's a reduced fee,
Susie and them don't know how to.
you can do it without approval. If it's an additional fee, we would need approval.
right. Ultimately, that new.
The
it's
only
gonna
issue
require-
I have with this is I'm going to need a huge amount of help to be able to get this to reconcile. Doing it with ADP, the girls that do the reconciliation don't know how to do ADP. So when I go and back money out and try to do things to make this reconcile, I'm gonna need their help, and they're familiar with Keystone and not ADP. I don't know how this is gonna work. We're gonna be I'll have to pay for them to come here and figure out how to do ADP. And then
So are you saying,
fix
So if
everything
you weren't
and then
switching,
switch over.
switching from ADP to Keystone, you wouldn't have this problem?
No, because those ladies work with Keystone all the time, they know it like the back of their hand.
So switching from ADP to Keystone is causing a transition problem. Because we're currently on ADP, correct?
Yes,
And everything's working fine, and you don't have to reconcile, everything's working.
the thing
But
of
you're
it
going
is,
to Keystone,
Wayne-
and you're creating all these other issues.
no, Keystone, there's no issues. I got people that know how to work Keystone. Wayne is the only one that knows to work ADP.
How long
I
have
don't
you-
have Wayne here anymore to help with this, so it's on me to figure out ADP. Trina and I tried, Trina has been doing ADP since January. And she's smart, she is so intelligent, and it just brought her to her knees, she can't handle it, and I get it. I'm gonna have to figure out how to pick it up. It's gonna take me a lot longer than a day or two to do that if I have to figure out, but if I have these auditors that come in that already know how to work Keystone, then I can just say, I need to back this money out, they'll say, this is how you do it, and they'll show me how to do it and be done with it. If not, I'm on my own and I'm dangling here. I need you guys' help. If you want these officers paid correctly, you need to give me the equipment and the tools to do it properly.
But you've been using this other software since January?
What other software?
The software you're currently using?
ADP.
ADP.
Oh, we've been
No,
using
we've
that
been
for
doing it
years.
since 2012.
And you don't know how to do it, being the clerk?
No, I do not. Wayne's my deputy and.
But your deputy,
Wayne was the deputy.
Yes, he
thought
was. I
town
got an
manager.
oath sworn in. He worked from 2012 to 2015 for free for the town doing this.
that's the first I've heard of that.
Would you like to see the oath?
No, I don't want to see the oath. I wasn't present for the oath.
If you can switch over to Keystone for cost savings from ADP, meaning you get a refund from ADP that we could put toward Keystone, and we save money,
Well, I know there won't be no refund. We don't have a contract with ADP, so there is no, a certain amount of
so
money.
what is our
that I
fee
give
with
it.
ADP per month?
Again, I will have to look and see. I can quote you something and I will probably be wrong. I would assume that I would have that information before.
Do we pay that monthly, quarterly, or
Or,
yearly?
I know we have monthly fees that goes out on that, but I don't know if there's quarterly, because they also do our 941s, they do our taxes.
So is Keystone then now gonna do this if you switch over to Keystone?
Yes,
Who did we have before we had EDP?
it was a bank out of Greencastle, and they quit doing it as of, I think it was like February or March of 2012. And I can show you the beginning contract with ADP, with Kathy Tipton signing off on it.
Well, I think we definitely need more information before we make a decision on approving a switchover at this point. Because we don't know what the cost is or the savings are, or.
Well, the thing of it is, if we do ADP, I'm gonna have to find someone to help me to do it, so you're gonna have to call somebody in here to do it. You're asking me to refund money from people that's been overpaid, people that wasn't supposed to get a raise. You're asking me to do things that I've never done before.
Well, we didn't ask you to do some of these things and they got done, so I guess we're asking you to fix it.
Well, Trina did the best that she could with what she had, so now it's up to me to fix it, and I need the tools to do it, and I need Keystone.
Me, Keystone's doing an audit, and then they're gonna do this too. It'd be like me telling Uncle Sam that my taxes are always right. Could be.
Well, my audit is with HR Unlimited, it's not with Keystone. HR Unlimited works with the Keystone software, so they know how to use the software.
But ADP worked satisfactory up until the last month,
Yes,
And we've used them for 8 years.
and now we need to make a change. I guess that's what I'm trying to
okay, so then we
comprehend.
need to hire someone that knows how to do ADP.
We have someone hired that's on payroll right now that is our town clerk.
Yes, but I was never trained on ADP, and what it took for Wayne to go to classes and stuff, it takes 3 months. So you want me to go away for 3 months to learn the ADP system, and how you gonna get paid in the time that this is gonna be happening? That was the super team. That was the team that worked well together. That was Wayne doing the payroll, town manager, building inspector, president of the redevelopment. It was Trina helping with the payroll process, transferring money back and forth from banks. It's a monster of a job. She was doing utility clerk. She was doing grants, helping with the grants. You know, we all worked together. You got Richard out there busting his bottom, trying to get on the cover of a magazine. We're so proud of him, and you know, we were a super team working together. And I know you guys will get this back. I know this is just a stumble. We can figure it out and get it back up, but you gotta give me the tools and the equipment to do it with. You can't just sit there and say, well, you just hang with ADP and go with it. I'm trying to tell you, this is the way to go. If it costs a little more in the long run, we'll make up on the backside, because you're not having to send me somewhere or having someone else to be trained to do this job.
So how long is it gonna take you to learn the new software?
Well, I would have to go to class to do it.
And how long is those classes?
Wayne, I think, was there for 2 months.
You
That's
just said
why-
3 months.
Well, 2 or 3 months. That's why Wayne did it, because
If
I
you
was,
go to the new software,
Yeah, the Keystone.
what's your training?
May 3rd.
How long is your training?
2 days, I think it says in the contract. They're with me, but the thing of it is, it's on the other side. If I have questions, they're there to answer. The ADP software is just a software. You don't have really a voice or anybody that you can go and talk to. Here you can go talk to Thomas or one of the people at Keystone and say, hey, I need help, and they
So
can.
why did we do ADP in the first place?
Because
When
it
we were
was,
using Keystone.
it was done by the council before I came on. They had already set it up.
I thought we voted on that after we first came in. I remember making a vote on it to switch over to ADT. I think we was doing it in-house.
No, wasn't doing it in-house, you were doing it in a bank in Greencastle. A bank in Greencastle was doing it for you. And then Kathy Tipton had already signed the ADP. I don't know, you might have signed it too, because she was going out of office and you guys were coming in. But on the invoice, because I looked up to see if there was a contract, it was signed by Kathy.
I didn't sign it with Kathy because I wasn't on board then. She's the one I defeated.
I guess what's worrying me on this is just reading $150 an hour on-site training, $60 an hour travel, possible per diems. I mean, this sounds like it could be an expensive changeover over and above the $3,950. And we're already using ADP, which has been working for 8 years. It was functional, it worked, and we didn't have any complaints. And now all of a sudden, we're gonna spend who knows how much money to switch over to another company. I'm just having a hard time comprehending the expense.
I don't understand where your issue is with the cost at this point in time, that you're paying a town attorney $225 to do a town manager's job at $20 an hour. And you hire all these attorneys, now you're concerned about $3,000 or $4,000.
Sure, I'm gonna stop you.
Software.
That's not what I get paid, first of all. It's not what I get paid.
$225 an hour?
It's not what I get paid.
Okay.
You know that. Okay? And the reason that the town has had to hire all these attorneys is because before this meeting began, you walked around serving everybody with the federal lawsuit that your husband has filed against each one of us. So you sit there and tell everyone that we're all good people and that you miss working as a team. And yet before the meeting, you walked around and served each of us.
Do you think that gives me pleasure? Do you think that gives me pleasure? We've worked 8 years at this town. We sacrificed for 8 years with this town. We've followed every rule and every law, and we have left our mark, and we've done a great job. job. You guys are not gonna take that away from me. Wayne has done an excellent job. I don't know what this backstory is, why all of a sudden that you guys wanted to fire Wayne. I don't get it. I did not. I repeat, I did not ever give Wayne any money that you guys didn't give to him. You know what? I would have been fined statutorily with that. That is immoral and improper, and I would have never done it, Larry, ever. And I'm sorry that you think that low of me. But the thing of it is that whether it was Wayne or whoever it is, you guys, the council voted on that raise, that $40,000. Greg and Gary went up to Putnam County. Wayne didn't want to do that job. He told you, I don't want to do that job. He was dealing with Main Street. Do you understand what Facebook did to him? Crucified him for $20,000 an hour or $20,000 a year. They crucified him. What do you think he wants to do a building inspector job for that? Okay. Yeah, can we move on? I do love this team. It doesn't matter. We're having a disagreement. It's just a head bumping thing. It's not, I find no joy in this at all to see that all our work
This is a
going down the
little bit
drain.
more than a head bumping job.
Well, so is this. You put my husband out of a job. For what reason?
Depot,
So, just, yeah, I'll talk about the depot. Just so you all know, I've been in contact with, Bill Macon, the person who the town awarded the contract to. He has, sent me that contract. I've provided that to each of you so you can review it. I'm in the process right now of getting some builder's risk insurance, or at least a quote for the council so that you can secure that so that ultimately Bill and his team can begin working on the depot. But I just wanted you to have that information. I know he's ready to get going soon. So just know that I would recommend you guys read through that. If you have any problems with that agreement, or if you notice anything that you believe you want some answers to, I can do my best to answer those and get those answered from Bill. I also provided you with an estimate of the costs for revitalizing the train depot. So if you have any questions on that, just let me know and I can definitely let you get you that information. So
Can I get a copy of that contract for my records?
yes, and
Thank you.
I will send it to you once we get it signed.
What funds was the depot come out of?
It will come out of edit.
Okay.
anything else?
No, I just wanted you to know what that information was, and that Bill had reached out to me and provided me with that contract, so I have reviewed it, and I wanna give each of you the opportunity to review it as well, and then I'll start getting the quotes for the builder's risk insurance, which is required under the agreement, so.
Sam's got questions.
Was it not already approved for them to fix the train depot in a previous?
It was, the bid was accepted by the council. I'm not sure what date that was. I believe probably January or February.
I guess my question is, what numbers are you waiting on?
Oh, so
Additional insurance.
Okay, so just
Yeah.
insurance, then, okay.
an insurance policy, there's, part of the agreement is that the council or the town would have a builder's risk insurance policy in place for that agreement in the event that some kind of act of God, that building was destroyed. So we're working with insurance company right now and getting that information, so.
Okay. And then also at the last special meeting, were the 2x4s taken off of Main Street sidewalk? Did we ever get that looked into?
I noticed them gone last Saturday,
Okay.
so within 2 days they had them gone.
Okay, awesome. And then we had a call that the top of Main Street that was taken down looked great, but we're asking if the bottoms were going to be what the timeline was looking on that. Look, don't shoot the messenger.
Frankly, I'm not, me personally, I'm not sure when that's gonna be finalized. Last information that I heard was that the county building inspector was going out to the property to, inspect it. But that's the last information that I've received from the property owners, so.
Okay.
Wish I could give you more.
Okay, ready to move on?
Yes.
Bale's lien. I'd like a motion to have the clerk put a lien on the Bale's property for the amount of the demolition of the house. May I have a motion?
I will motion that we lien the property for the balance due.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Greg J., Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester, Cindy Holland,
Aye.
Larry Finley.
Aye.
Do you know, Daniel, does that have anything to do with the COVID-19? Am I allowed to do that, right? I know with the utilities we're not, but I am allowed to do that one, right? The ordinance that for the COVID-19, we weren't supposed to put liens on properties.
What? What are you talking about?
That's on mortgages and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was on personal
Yeah.
loans,
Okay.
mortgages,
I
and
just wanna
rents.
double check, I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand what you were saying. So, are you referring to the COVID-19 ordinances at the town?
Yes, that we were not putting liens on
For water.
That was
water
water
and
bills.
stuff. I just wanna make sure that was not part of it, so, just to clarify.
This was pre-COVID, so.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
Did we do number 7?
Yes.
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 Okay.
I don't have any other things that I was just looking to see if we had any questions from the community, and it doesn't appear that we do.
We had something about the new police on here, or did we cover that with?
We did cover
overpayment?
police salary, we do
Okay.
wanna discuss the new police car.
New
Yeah, the
police
new
car.
police car, that's it.
I believe that was 51,000, is that correct?
51,000, and you had two lease terms.
I have 2 lease terms from First National Bank. One is for 3 years. Interest rate is 1.97. That would be for a 3-year loan with a buyout on at the term of the loan. 3 installments of $17,683.58. Payment would begin April 29th of 2001. Second quote is for $51,000, interest rate 2%. That one is for 5 years. 4 payments of $10,829.03. Final payment would be $10,829.04. And that would start also April 29th, 2021.
And these are not using any kind of a trade-in, correct, Larry?
Correct.
These are straight buyouts, or lease outs.
Any other discussion?
Buying 2 cars or 1?
One, 2 different finance
Finance things.
terms. One's a 3-year, one is a 5-year.
And the interest rate is within what, 0.3%?
Yeah, yeah, actually
Well-
0.03.
What was the yearly payment on 3 years?
$17,683.58.
$10,000 something for the 5.
Yeah.
10,000, you got it, okay.
It's 2 years longer. How much more interest will be paid in those 2 years?
It's about $1,000, wasn't it?
It's roughly $1,100.
Per year?
No,
No.
total.
Total.
Oh, for the 2 years.
Finance charge, just to give you finance charge. $2,050.74 on 3 years. 5 years, $3,145.16. This car is prepared for town of Cloverdale. It already has the 800 megahertz radio
Got
in
the
it.
radio, the only thing missing right now, I think, is the, lockbox. That will be,
Yeah, hey, Greg.
Yes,
That
sir.
lockbox is free equipment. They did a photo shoot on my truck last week, and the company with that buys like, I want to say like almost $3,000 worth of free equipment they donated to that car.
yeah, Kent got us a really good deal on the vehicle. It's just a matter of we wanna do a 3 or a 5 year. And for the cost difference of going 3 to 5 is minimal with the exception of the annual payment.
Installment, yes.
So, the 5 year would obviously be an easier payment at 10,000 versus 17 for a 3. And it's not costing us that much more money in finance or, you know. So I would motion we do the 5 year.
Make a motion for that. Is that a motion?
That's a motion that we do the 5 year lease.
I'll second the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Craig J.
Aye.
Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Victor Westford, Cindy Holland, Larry Fiddler.
I will abstain for conflict.
Larry, do you have anything else?
I do not. Does the council have anything else? Do you have any questions?
I don't have the today.
Apologize. Bob Anderson requested information about who do we call for final inspections now?
Right now, the county is doing final inspections. I do not have a phone number with me, but it is the county, Putnam County Building Inspector. His name is Don Hatfield. He is doing finals only. And right now, you do go ahead and follow procedure with the town as far as applying for a building permit.
Yeah, I don't believe there's a question about who was sitting next to Cheryl, that's Ms. Galloway's attorney. There's a question if there was anyone else in the community who would know how to do the ADP program.
You would also have to work with, Gateway, or no, oh gosh, the State Board of Accounts, because we have, water, wastewater, general, and, MBH, and all that money's moved in those different funds to pay the employees. It's a different process than just an ADP process. You have to know government funding.
Okay, Scott Mayhew asked if switching a company, won't they send someone to teach them how to use it?
And it's usually over. I think she gave you prices to come here, but you can also do it over the phone. I think she'll need to come here to straighten this mess out, but in the future, it will be over the
Well, I
phone.
think it was,
You can do team viewer.
it was in the quote, $150 an hour plus, travel time of $60 per hour. And then in some cases, per diems may also apply for additional training.
Yeah, is that for HR Unlimited?
That's for the voice.
Yeah.
But if you look at the voice on the training stipulation, I don't know if that's training outright.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's saying a minimum of 4 and maximum of 6 hours
Mhm.
on site.
Well, we're gonna have to move everything. I mean, it's gonna have to be restructured from the beginning all the way up. So
The
it
thing
is
that
going to
concerns
be
me is we get into that additional support fees
Right.
of $150 an hour plus $60 an hour travel. I mean, this could get
You only
very,
need to
very
do it
expensive.
one time though. I mean, you
Well,
only need
only
to travel.
one time, but you're talking $150 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, a 10-hour day is a
Drag it out.
$1,500
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And And how many days are they gonna need? I mean, from what you're explaining, it's gonna be an extensive turnover.
There, doesn't it?
Well, I have another option, but I know you guys aren't gonna like it. I can hire Wayne back as my deputy as unpaid, like he did before.
At this point in time, I think that would constitute a conflict,
Yeah.
so we wanna stay away from that.
Okay, well,
I would recommend that the council not do that.
Yeah.
There was a question about, from Debbie Wingler, who is paying for Miss Galloway's attorney?
the town of Cloverdale.
Okay, Tamara Shurig said, is there another type of this training? I don't know.
I don't know either, I don't know what she's asking. Another kind of payroll system or software, is that what she's
I
asking?
believe so.
It still has to be compatible with state boards of accounts and, government funding.
If the payroll for Keystone is anything like what we use on the water side, I mean, they have people that explain it really easy. They can like go into your computer, do it, show you how to do it, and it's really easy. I'm not sure if payroll is the same, but I know that they make it really easy to learn on the water side.
It will be, but it's gotta be set up now. I mean, you're starting from scratch
Yeah.
and you're having to move everything from A to
No, and I
B,
get that. I just mean once,
It's
like
done.
once the one transfer and all that's done, maintaining it, if it's like it is what I use, it's not hard.
I guess I have a follow-up question in reference to Debbie Wingler's question is, what is the town of Cloverdale paying for Cheryl's attorney per hour?
I think the price was $2.25 an hour.
Is it 225?
Yes.
Okay. There's a question from or I guess more of a statement from Tamara Shurig. She said, I think someone should do some research for the purpose of cost. I believe she's talking in reference to the ADP versus Keystone. Carla Jo Lawless asked, so who actually has been doing their payroll so far?
So, it was Wayne up until February, the next payroll, Trina Baker, my deputy, who, has been doing it since January to, I guess the last payroll. So Trina's been doing it with Wayne overseeing how she was doing it. She was in training to do the process.
So Wayne overseen her do the last payroll?
No,
Okay.
that's why we have issues.
Okay, Elizabeth Kinzinski asks, why does it take 2 to 3 months to learn ADP and 2 days to learn Keystone?
Because you actually have on-site representatives from Keystone actually helping you do that. ADP is a software, you don't have a consultant that you can talk to. Keystone, you have certain people, like she can tell you, Thomas, and who else did we talk to on a regular basis? Sherry and all these others. So you're actually talking to a person instead of trying to figure it out on a software machine without help. Trina's got a cheat sheet where she goes through, it was an SOP, how to, do this in case anything ever happened. And we thought we had it pretty well.
Cheryl, I got a question.
Okay.
When did Wayne start?
I don't know. November of 2015, maybe?
Okay, and you started when?
January of 2012.
Okay, who done payroll between that period of time?
Wayne did.
Wayne done it before?
He did it
He was
without being
working here.
paid.
And who knew this?
All of you guys did.
I don't think so.
Well, he was my deputy, so, and he wasn't getting paid.
I thought Trina was your deputy.
Well, when Wayne got the job as town manager and building inspector, when he got the job as town manager, then I got Trina as my deputy.
So who paid for Wayne's training before he was hired for the
I
town?
believe the town did.
Okay, there's a question here, just a question, why was Wayne doing payroll from Renee Cameron?
I'm sorry?
Renee Cameron asked, why was Wayne doing payroll?
Because when I came in January of 2012, I had no idea what a clerk treasurer's duties were, and I was trying to clean up the messes from bills not getting paid. And so then I had to go to school in March for that 2 weeks, and I couldn't do ADP at the same time. So Wayne said he would take on the payroll, and then I went on to Muncie to the clerk treasurer's school, and that's why it was just a segregation of duties.
Okay, a question here from Catherine Giverson. Why does the town pay for her attorney? Just curious.
A state statute. If something like what's happening now, I feel like I need someone to protect me, to make sure that I'm doing things properly too. You know, the one thing that I never have done, and I never will, is break the laws of the State Board of Accounts. They're my boss. I answer to them. I'm audited by them. I follow their rules. And I want to be protected.
I think that's the last question. Okay, Larry. Thank you.
Okay, call this meeting adjourned.